Okay, so sorry. My dog has been on one the past little bit. I figured I could finally go and do the part 3 of my favorite Foxhole Court quotes. So yeah, this will be covering the 3rd book, The Kingsman. There's quite a bit. Okay, it's been, if you've seen my other 2 videos, it's been a hot minute since I've done one of these, so please bear with me. So the first one is Matt talking to Neil. I think, oh yeah, because this is the beginning of the book, so Neil just came back from his stay at the nest, and so Matt just goes, "Did Coach already yell at you?" "Loudly and at length," Neil said. Sassy boy. Okay. Oh, there's a lot on this one. What one was I on? Okay, so this one is Andrew talking to Neil. And oh yeah, so going a bit above this, Neil goes, "You spend all this time watching our backs," Neil said. "Who's watching yours? Don't say you are, because you and I both know you take crap care of yourself." "You have a hearing problem," Andrew deduced. "Too many balls to the helmet, perhaps? Can you read lips?" Andrew pointed at his mouth as he spoke. "The next time someone comes for you, stand down and let me deal with it. Do you understand?" "If it means losing you, then no," Neil said. And I put a note that said they both want to take care of each other. Got a hair in my mouth. And then immediately after that, Andrew says that, I'm pretty sure this is a pretty famous quote from him, and he goes, "You were supposed to be a side effect of the drugs." "I'm not a hallucination," Neil said. "You are a pipe dream," Andrew said. And this next part, it makes me laugh every time, because right after Andrew said, "You're a pipe dream," he tells Neil to go inside and leave me alone. And Neil says, "You still have my keys." So Andrew, being Andrew, he literally takes the keys, like, I think out of his pocket. Yeah, out of his pocket. He pried his car key off of it, and then instead of giving them back to Neil, he tosses them off the roof, because I guess they're on the roof in the scene. He literally, like, just chucks them off the roof so they fly down and land on the sidewalk. And Andrew just goes, "Not anymore." I made a note. I was like, Andrew is a literal child. That scene will make me... I don't know why I find that so funny. Oh, but oh my goodness. Okay, this one... I think they're at the airport, and the quote is, "For a moment, Neil, was back at Evermore, being smothered by the Ravens' malevolence and the court's forbidding color scheme. He'd never been claustrophobic, but the weight of so much hatred had almost crushed every bone in his body." And I put a note on this one that says, "Does Neil have PTSD from his time with the Ravens? Is this going to come up again?" I don't think it does, not so much in the, it's explicitly brought up like this before. Or, no, it's not explicitly brought up like that again. I think this is Wymack talking to Neil, and he says, "You flounder when they call you friend. You'd probably have a psychotic break when they freaked out over you." Because I think Neil was asking about, or Wymack was telling them how the foxes were worried whenever he was at Evermore, and Neil is not computing, he's not understanding, so Wymack is like, says that. I don't really remember what's going on here. I can't remember if they're still at the airport or not. But Neil was the first out, and he caught Andrew's door before Andrew could close it. Andrew didn't move, but there was just enough room for Neil to lean in and get his binder. He straightened up and turned to find Andrew had shifted closer. And then I put a note that said, because Andrew likes Neil. I don't know the context of that scene. Oh, and then I think this is right after that. Yeah, right after that. He says, for the first time in months, he could finally breathe again. It was such a relief. It was frightening. Neil hadn't meant to lean on Andrew so much. And my note is, and Neil likes Andrew. Andrew raised a hand to Neil's face, but stopped with his fingers just a breath from Neil's skin. Oh, yeah. And I put, he had no problem touching Neil whenever he was drugged up, but now that he's sober, he can't do it. I don't know if that's actually what's going on in that scene or not, but this is a Wymack. Literally everything Wymack says is just pure gold. But I can walk, Neil said. Proud of you, Wymack said. Didn't ask. Because Neil is still really, like, banged up after his time with the Ravens. And then Neil batted Andrew's hand away and turned back to the couch. It's like, Neil is just used to Andrew touching him at this point because Andrew dug a fingernail into the hollow of Neil's throat until he had Neil's undivided attention. Sit down and be still. Because I don't know why Andrew, someone that very clearly does not like physical contact, he really does direct with touch a lot. I don't know if it's just with Neil or not, but like that's a constant thing throughout the series. Is he's constantly like touching Neil to like get him to turn his face, or like holding on, like getting his pulse at his neck. Like he's always doing something. Oh yeah, I'm fine to play, Neil said. Kevin reached behind Andrew to smack the back of Neil's head. Oh, this is a classic Andrew quote. Is your learning curve a horizontal line? And then I put that was my new insult. That's just so funny to me. Neil didn't know who talked Kevin into giving up passenger seat or why. And I just put, it was Andrew. Pretty darn convinced. Oh yeah, this is, this one, Neil is with Abby, and she goes, I've seen your scars, Neil. I'm not as surprised as I should be to find out that they're not the only ones you hide. I want to ask, but you told me once already not to pry. And I was like, I officially love Abby. I do. I feel like a lot of people really like to go on about Bea because she's amazing, but Abby deserves love too. Oh yeah, I think they're talking about going to get dinner, and Neil's just like, yeah, I don't care, I'm fine with whatever. And Allison raked him with a skeptical look. Can you even chew? I love Allison too. She's very much like a Lydia Martin character, and I love Lydia, so, well, come on. Okay. she will be, I guess, up here now until she feels like leaving. Dan was on her feet in a heartbeat, but somehow Neil made it to Andrew first. Oh yeah, because Andrew punched Matt. I don't remember why. Andrew punched Matt for some reason, and Neil was the first one to get to him. And I was like, because of course he did. Because of course he would be the first one to get there. Oh yeah, they're talking about their tournament coming up. And Allison just goes, who are we eliminating first? And I wrote a note that I love the fierce optimism. Oh yeah, this was kind of cool. Right below that, they're saying the 19th we're home for a rematch against Belmont. January 26th we're away against Arkansas. And I was like, I wrote a note that said, shout out to my home state. 'Cause I am from Arkansas. Here's another classic. Wymack quote, Neil is saying, you know, hey, I'm good to fight, put me on the court. And Wymack just goes, shut up, Wymack said. When you're sporting fewer than 50 stitches, I'll consider letting you on my court again. If I catch you so much as looking at your gear before then, I will bench you another week out of spite. And then a little bit later, Neil forgot the rest of his argument when Andrew pinched his wrist. A bolt of fire popped through his fingers and he snapped his hand away as fast as he could. Because I just felt like that was... If I could ban some of you from ever opening your mouth in public, I would. This is Wymack about Neil, obviously. So this is Neil talking to Wymack, and Neil says, tell your pet Psycho to knock it off before he cripples someone. Because this is where Andrew, whenever they're at practice, this is the scene where Andrew was pretty much as soon as he'd catch a ball, he'd like pop it back to where it would hit their feet, trying to trip them up or do something, I don't know. So Neil is like, stop before he cripples someone. No, that's Wymack. Wymack says that, sorry. Tell your pet Psycho to knock it off before he cripples someone. I don't think he'll listen to me, Neil said. You and I both know he will. Now get. I love how for Neil, there's that ongoing joke of him saying, I'm fine. And then for Andrew, there's the ongoing joke of just like everyone knows that Neil is the only one that listens to him. Oh yeah, I like this one. This is Neil thinking about Andrew, and he goes, honesty suited Andrew because he was an instigator at heart and his opinions were often unpopular. Oh, whoops. I like that quote. I like that way of describing. Yeah. This one is that conversation where Wymack is implying that he knows that there's something going on between Neil and Andrew. And... oh no, this is Andrew, sorry. This is Andrew. We are going to Columbia tomorrow. Now walk away and tell Coach to mind his pay grade. I will not let him get away with this a second time. He's talking about whenever he was, popping the balls back at people's feet. And Coach told Neil to go stop him. And then I was like, does Coach know about Neil's feelings for Andrew? And then right below that, that's the That's the conversation where Wymack is like, just promise me this isn't going to be a problem. What? Neil asked. I can't tell if you're being obstinate to screw with me or if you're really that dumb. I would pity you, but Andrew's right. I don't get paid enough to get involved in this. Figure it out for yourself on your own time. Because it sounds like Coach knows. I like that conversation. I like that conversation because that's very much Coach Wymack. He's looking out for his players, and he told Neil, just tell me this isn't going to be a problem, but then he didn't push any farther. Oh, this is another classic Andrew quote. He says, what people want to think of me is not my problem. Oh, jeez. So these next few are whenever they're at the club and Neil is talking to Roland. So Andrew finally gave in, huh? Roland said, that looks pretty bad, talking about the scuff marks on Neil's wrist. And my note was, yep, Roland thinks Andrew and Neil are together. And Neil, bless his poor, obtuse skull. He's just like, why would Andrew do this to me? And I literally wrote, I know I do this in every video and it never works. Yep, there it is. All caps, because he likes you. And then a little while later, he's talking to Andrew about it, and he's like, why does Roland think you're tying me up? Presumably, he thinks you're as bad at following directions as he is. And this feels dumb in retrospect because I know the answer to it now, but I asked the question of, did Andrew and Roland have a relationship in the past? Obviously, I don't know if relationship would be the best word for it, but they obviously had something in the past. Roland knows I don't like being touched. Oh, there it is. So this isn't exactly what I was thinking when I made my touch-starved comment earlier, but it's close enough. I'm honestly surprised that it was brought up at all. Because I think I can't remember, it was either the first or the second one, I made a point I remember of having a comment of if Andrew was touch-starved or not, and if that would ever be brought up again. Obviously, I don't think that's the avenue Nora wanted to go with, but the fact that it was explicitly mentioned at all is kind of surprising, because these books leave a lot to be figured out between the lines. They don't really explicitly say a whole lot. What's outside Coach's pay grade? I'm gonna guess getting into Andrew's love life. Oh yeah. Here's another classic Andrew quote. I'm self-destructive, not stupid. I know better. Again, another. Hi. Okay, so I have a big note on this. It was hours before he could stop thinking long enough to sleep. So now Neil knows that Andrew likes him. Not exactly how I thought it would come out, but here it is. And Andrew didn't exactly tell Neil he liked him, just that he wouldn't mind hooking up. Hopefully there'll be another scene where they admit their feelings for each other, but I'm not holding my breath. Mostly I'm just glad that Neil finally knows, because Neil is an obtuse son of a gun. Okay. I'm just glad that Neil finally knows. Now the ball is in his court, so let's see what he does with it. Also, it's going to be super cute if Neil starts getting all flustered when Andrew's around him. So, in retrospect, I was kind of hoping that they would have an actual conversation, being like, yes, I like you. That didn't really happen, but like I said in this note, I'm not really surprised. Just because by this point I was pretty familiar with Nora Sakovic's writing style enough that I wasn't holding out too much hope for a scene like that. And the fact that Neil doesn't really get flustered around Andrew. I mean, there was that one scene where he kind of gets zoned out a little bit whenever he sees Andrew looking at the little figurines in the airport gift shop. Nothing gets, this is Neil talking to Andrew, nothing gets to you like that, nothing gets under your skin. He catches on at last, Andrew mused. It only took him a year. What are you afraid of? Heights. Andrew. If you make Kevin come looking for you, you will regret it. Again, I swear, this is their version of flirting. Also, again, like, Andrew, I don't know, I don't know, I guess I have an affinity for whenever characters use honesty like this, like he's being perfectly honest. He's afraid of heights, but he uses it because he knows he's not going to be believed, if that makes sense. Allison's choice of movie was instantly vetoed, so Allison threw democracy out the window and put it in anyway. Again, huge Lydia Martin vibes, and I love it. Oh yeah, this is whenever Andrew is, Neil is talking to Andrew and is like, why did you decide to play Exy? And Andrew just goes, it was a bigger cage than the alternative. Because the alternative was Juvie. You let us this is Neil talking to Andrew. You let us run ourselves into the ground and clean up behind us. You play the game like you play life. That's why you're so good at it. And then I was like, is Neil flirting? Is this his attempt at flirting? I mean, in a way, maybe? I don't know. You're more a raccoon than a fox. This is Andrew, obviously, I think, talking to Neil. But I was like, okay, here's my note. I'm going to pick this spot to say that I kind of miss Andrew's old way of talking. His sober attitude, I understand, even if it isn't as entertaining, but I miss his rhyme speech. Yeah, okay, let me clarify. While it's a good thing he is off his meds, I just, I miss the sing-song, rhymey way he would talk sometimes. Oh yeah, this is funny. He's on the roof again, and Neil's like, what are you doing up here? Feeling, Andrew said at last. Trying to remember fear or trying to remember how to feel anything at all? Again, they're just constant ribbing. I just have such an affinity for sarcastic characters. They're just my weak spot. Andrew beat him to the punch with a calm 8 inches. He's only 5'11". Oh yeah, this is whenever they're about to have a game. And Andrew just like knew how tall one of the players was. Neil and Kevin pivoted to stare at Andrew. The flash of a grin on Wymac's face said he caught the significance of that remark and knew what it meant for the Fox's chance tonight. I do like this scene. Andrew had no excuse for knowing Backstein's height. For starters, Backstein was a backliner. If the Foxes did their job that night, Backstein wouldn't get close enough to the goal to take a shot. More importantly, Wymack had only given out the Longhorns height once when he'd first read the UT lineup out on his team. That statistic was printed on the roundup pamphlet Wymack handed out last week, but Andrew had stuffed that paperwork into his locker the first chance he got. Neil hadn't seen him take it out since. Andrew had looked 1,000 miles away when Wymack went over the Longhorns roster, but he'd heard every word and he'd retained it. That perfect retention was what saved them in their match against Biltmore last fall. Wymack made a throwaway comment about penalty shots during the halftime rundown. The game didn't come down to penalties, but with so few seconds left on the clock and so much pressure on the Baltimore striker to tie the score, Andrew knew he'd go for what was familiar. He'd blocked in a possible shot without thinking twice. I didn't have any of that highlighted. I just wanted to read it. This part I do have highlighted. Neil looked at Kevin, then Wymack, wondering why no one had told him Andrew had an eidetic memory, wondering if they'd even known. Obviously, I don't think anyone knows, but again, that's just a good scene. I'd be jealous if I wasn't so against dying young. That's Nikki. Blatant favoritism, Nikki said. You know he said maybe 10 words to me since we picked up. Oh yeah, he's talking to Neil about Andrew. You know, he said maybe 10 words to me since we picked him up from East Haven. I'd be jealous if I wasn't so against dying young. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love Nikki so freaking much. Andrew disappeared, but Neil finally spotted him near a glass case of figurines. Yeah, this is that scene I was talking about earlier. Neil's starting to pay more attention to Andrew. And then this is Nikki, because he's trying to buy a whole bunch of snacks, and he's talking to Kevin, and he goes, "Let me go before I tell Andrew you're outlawing chocolate." Oh yeah, Neil just hadn't known until this year who Andrew wanted. Wait, what's happening? Not surprisingly, Neil realized, because hadn't Kevin said it last fall, when you know what a person wants, it's easy to manipulate them. Oh yeah. I think this is the scene wherever him and Andrew are making another, like, pack or deal, and so Neil was saying that he wanted Andrew to stop taking cracker dust. They're on the roof. "Go away before I push you off the side," Andrew said. "Do it. I'd drag you with me," Neil reminded him. Love the double meaning here. Andrew is being literal and saying he'd push Neil off the roof, but he's also being metaphoric. Like, literally everything in this book. Everything in this book has, like, a double metaphorical meaning to it. Don't look at me like that. I'm not your answer, and you sure aren't mine. Oh, Neil hadn't kissed anyone in 4 years. Oh, yeah, and I wrote, "Holy mother of it's finally happened!" Wait, let me see if I can... Ah, there we go. Where is it? Oh, yeah, wait, there it is. Finally happened. I was shocked. Andrew chucked his pack off to one side and tucked his knee to his chest. Oh, okay. I think I know why I highlighted this one. Is that the stick beside his? Yeah, Andrew chucked his pack off to the side and tucked his knee to his chest. So I can tell you, I highlighted this because I liked that visual of Andrew just like sitting like this with his knee pulled up. Whoop. Oh yeah, the next time one of them says you're soulless, I might have to fight them. That was, if that wasn't obvious, that was Neil talking to Andrew, by the way. Let's see, he told himself not to think about it right now, but, oh yeah, his mouth still remembered the weight of Andrew's lips, and that made his hair stand on end. Because I saw a post about it, but Neil, multiple times, like, him and Andrew will have a moment, and then he's like, "Okay, I can't think about that right now, gotta think about Exy." And I was like, that boy has listened to Get Your Head in the Game one too many times, you know what I'm saying? Despite the active effort he made to focus on Friday's game, his thoughts kept derailing without warning. Whenever Andrew crossed the room, Neil's gaze followed. Every time Neil took his keys out of his pocket and saw the newest addition to his set, he remembered Andrew's kiss. This is actually really cute. So I guess he is kind of... I know I said earlier that in a note I had mentioned I would like to see Andrew getting a little flustered around... Neil getting a little flustered around Andrew, and then I know a little later in the video I said that I didn't think that really happened. I guess it kind of does, like here. Friday's away game against Arkansas meant an all-day drive. Sorry guys, yeah, we're really just like out in the middle of nowhere. To be fair, though, anytime we want to go anywhere, it's also an all-day drive, so. I'm not talking to you anymore, Nikki said. I'm talking to your mini-me. He's talking to Kevin about Neil. That's funny. Talking to your mini-me. Oh, yeah. Oh, geez. How a man who viewed the world with such studied disconnect could kiss like this, Neil didn't know, but he wasn't going to complain. Letting someone in and taking comfort in something he shouldn't have and couldn't keep. Right now, Neil needed it too much to care.
So, this next quote I just ended up scrapping from the video because my dog was barking repeatedly through this clip. But the quote is that for Neil, getting that plastic safety seal off of the ice cream tub was the hardest thing he had ever done in his life. And just for context, this is like right after the kiss scene. And then I was just saying that Neil is just really adorable when he's romantically flustered. So, back to the regularly scheduled programming.
Sorry, my dog is being very vocal tonight. Thinking that Andrew needed space and time to regroup the same way Neil did almost wrecked Neil's attempts to get his neutral facade back together. Neil watched it so he wouldn't stare at Andrew. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, talking about the movie. He watched the movie so he wouldn't stare at Andrew, but if someone asked him later what it was about, he wouldn't be able to tell them. He was sure he still felt Andrew's heartbeat on his skin when he went to bed a few hours later. Literal definition of cannot function. See, when Neil was halfway there, though, Renee turned away from Andrew and headed up the sidewalk. Oh, yeah, Renee totally knows that something's going on between these two. This is like the second or third time she's left them alone together. A metal tab bounced off his cheek. Neil looked back at Andrew and was suddenly keenly aware of Matt's absence. It had been over a week since Andrew pushed Neil down and kissed him. They hadn't been alone long enough to do anything since. This boy is so dense. That was my note. That was probably the most factual note I had ever made here. Thank you, he said finally. He couldn't say he meant thanks for all of it. The keys, the trust, the honesty, and the kisses. Hopefully Andrew would figure it out eventually. You were amazing. Another just iconic quote from the book. Are you going to be a problem for us? Nathaniel struggled to look up and focus on the man's face. I've been a problem for 19 years. I'm too tired to be one tonight. Just get me out of here. I really like how the book shifted Neil's name to Nathaniel whenever he turned back to Nathaniel, for lack of a better way to put it. Am I at 94 yet? You are at 100, Andrew said. What happened to your face? Because obviously Neil knows what Andrew means when he's saying that 94% of me hates you all the time. Like, he knows what that really means. I didn't invite him, Browning said. Trust me, Wymack said. You'll fare a lot better if you take them both. Because Browning, the FBI agent, didn't want Andrew to come with Neil whenever they were having their questioning session. Blech. Can I really be Neil again? I told Neil to stay, Andrew said. Leave Nathaniel buried in Baltimore with his father. Again, just honestly another iconic quote. Consider this a contract with us, Browning said, sounding as peeved as always. He waited for Neil to look up at him before continuing. Once you sign this, we start the process to instigate Neil Jostin as a valid and functioning member of society. That means no more running and no more fake IDs. You are going to be Neil from now until death. You are not allowed to change your mind. You so much as order a latte under a pseudonym, and we are going to have a serious problem. Pin, Neil said, holding out his hand. When Browning didn't move fast enough, he said, I get it. Just give me the pin so I can sign it. I liked that one. So the attitude problem wasn't an act, at least. Wait, what did Neil say? Oh. So the attitude problem wasn't an act, at least. What part of go to hell do you need us to explain to you? Allison asked. Again, Allison, love her. Neil or Nathaniel or whoever, Nikki said. He's ours and we're not letting him go. You want us to vote on it or something? Bet you it'll be unanimous. I'm getting feels because this right here is why I say the third book is my favorite. The first time I read the series, I said the second one was because it was very Andrew-centric. But now I definitely say that the third one's my favorite just because the third one is where you get to see all of these things come together. Neil finally gets to open up and tell the team about his past and what has happened, and the team finally is a team. They're a family. They're, again, this quote right here. Do you want us to vote or something? Because I bet you it'll be unanimous. Could you imagine someone saying that with confidence at the beginning of the series? Absolutely not. Would not happen. But now Nicky is confident enough that he knows no one's going to protest him. I have to go. Andrew said, I don't trust them to give you back. Because it's been hours. No, it's been like a few days since they've seen each other whenever they finally do find him again. Oh yeah, Neil knew talking to the FBI wasn't going to be easy. And I was like, and now he's Neil again, and my heart is melting. Because again, going back to the whole, like, the book refers to him as Nathaniel for that point in time when he had to be Nathaniel. Neil tried pulling the foil wrapper open and hissed through clenched teeth at the burn in his knuckles. Andrew took the bar from him, ripped it open in one easy swipe, and dumped it in Neil's waiting hand. Because Neil was trying to open a granola bar, but his hands were so wrapped up in bandages that he couldn't do it. A lot of things about you make sense now, actually, with one notable exception, Matt added dryly. But I'm going to let Allison handle that conversation. She'd kill me if I steal her thunder. $5 says it's about him and Andrew. Yes. Here's another iconic quote. Did you have any plans to do anything? Matt finally thought to ask Neil. Besides the obvious, I mean. Neil wasn't sure if Matt meant Exie or Andrew. Again, iconic. Stay out of it. I won't, Aaron said. You wanted me to fight for her. Do you think he'll fight for you? Oh, yeah. I remember the first time I read this series, I was really confused as to why Andrew all of a sudden got really aggressive towards Neil. Now I get it. See, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, the next one. Just wondering how you went from your whole I don't date high horse to Andrew's bed, Aaron said. Which, I mean, like, now I get it because Andrew was afraid that Neil was doing the same thing that Drake was doing. And so this is just his, albeit more aggressive than necessary way to just make sure that that's not the case. So. Oh yeah, this is whenever Neil was talking to Ichiharu, the mob boss person that they end up making a contract with. That meant every word had to oh yeah, wait. Neil couldn't face Ichiharu as Neil Jostin. He had to face Ichiharu as a Wisniewski would. That meant every word would have to be the truth, and this had to be the biggest lie Neil ever told. Oh yeah, another iconic quote. Who said please that made you hate the world so much? Andrew gazed at him in silence for a minute. I did. Great, Wymack said. He's turning into another you. That's just what I need. I think he's talking to Dan about Neil. He's turning into another you. That's just what we need. We're all going to die, Kevin said at last. How about we're gonna own these losers, Nikki suggested. And that's why you're not allowed to talk to the press, Matt said dryly. Oh yeah, so this is gonna be long, but this is Coach's end speech, if you know what I'm talking about. I want you to close your eyes and think about why you're here tonight. Don't tell me revenge, because you've already gotten it just by being here tonight. This isn't about Rico anymore, Wymack said. This isn't about the Ravens. This is about you. This is about everything it took you to get to this point, everything it cost you, and everyone who laughed when you dared to dream of something big and bright. You're here tonight because you refused to give up and refused to give in. You're here where they all said you'd never be, and no one can say you haven't earned the right to play this game. All eyes are on you. It's time to show them what you're made of. There's no room for doubt, no room for second guesses, no room for error. This is your night. This is your game. This is your moment. Seize it with everything you've got. Pull out all the stops and lay it out all on the line. Fight because you don't know how to die quietly. Win because you don't know how to lose. The king's ruled long enough. It's time to tear his castle down. That gives me chills every time. You're crazy, Neil said to Andrew in an undertone. This is news to no one, Andrew said. Oh yeah, and this is whenever Kevin got his queen tattoo. Let Rico be king, Kevin said with an exaggerated enunciation of the thoroughly sloshed, because he's also drunk. Most coveted, most protected. He'll sacrifice every piece he has to protect his throne. Whatever. Me? Kevin gestured again, meaning to indicate himself, but too drunk to get his hand higher than his waist. I'm going to be the deadliest piece on the board. Queen, Andrew said somewhere behind Neil. Andrew, you little shit starter. Alright, last one. Tonight, Neil was in perfect form, and he was mad as hell at the Ravens for hurting his foxes. Again, what I'm talking about. They're finally a family. And I didn't highlight it, but I just wanted to read the last paragraph. A year ago, Neil had been a scared nobody, hating himself for signing the Foxes contract and counting down days until he moved in with Wymack. Tonight, he was the starting striker for the first-ranked team in the NCAA. In 2 years, he'd be captain, and in 4, he'd graduate from Palmetto State. Neil would find a professional team first and then fight tooth and nail to make the cut for court. Neil could already imagine the weight of the Olympic medals around his neck. He didn't even care what color it was so long as it was his. Better than the bright future was what he already had, a court that would always be home, a family who'd never give up on him, and Andrew, who for once hadn't wasted their time denying that this thing between them might actually mean something for both of them. Neil hadn't even noticed the silence at first, too distracted by his dizzying thoughts. Now he couldn't help but smile and pull Andrew in. This was everything he wanted, everything he needed, and Neil was never letting go. And that is, finally, I know it's been months, the conclusion to this series that has thoroughly wrecked my life, but in the best way possible. Yeah. I noticed I had a new subscriber, so thank you. I appreciate you. I see you. It means a lot. This is still a very new channel, so the fact that I've got 2 subscribers, honestly, more than I thought would happen. So thank you for the 2 of y'all for subscribing. It does mean a lot. And if you have any suggestions for videos you would like to see, as always, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, because I don't really know what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna try to see if I can do an official bookshelf tour. But I know that will be a very long video, so I'm still trying to figure out the logistics of that. But I mean, I'd be down for like cooking videos, any discussion videos, like my Avatar one. I actually really liked making the Avatar video, just because I had a lot I wanted to talk about. But yeah, if y'all have any ideas or suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. So, bye. I'm still laughing about that Wymack quote. Proud of you, didn't ask. Hi. My dog wants my attention. I'm sorry if you hear a thudding noise. My dog is playing fetch with herself. This one. Okay, why is it that Andrew and the Foxes reminds me so much of that scene from the 3rd episode of Star Trek? Whenever they all get, like, fear crazy, and that one guy, like, one of the other crewmen is giving him crap, so he just goes, you don't rank me and you don't have pointed ears, so just leave me alone. Why does this let me go before I tell Andrew you're outlawing chocolate? Remind me of that. I could not tell you. Yeah, I guess so. I guess at this point we didn't know that her and Andrew had a conversation. Wait, no, yeah, we did. At this point I knew that they had a conversation about it, so why am I acting like that's a big surprise? Anyway, sorry. I think I might, like, the more I read these stories and the more I, like, get to sit and think about it, I kind of feel about Allison the same way I do about Caroline from the Vampire Diaries. The first time I watched that show, I didn't really much care for her, but the second time I watched it, I found that she was probably my second favorite character after Damon, because I don't know if this is still a relevant conversation, but Team Damon all the way. Anyway, but just like characters like Lydia Martin, like Caroline, I admittedly don't know her last name, and then like Allison, like these characters who are these very stereotypical feminine people who value, you know, like full face makeup, done hair, looking really nice, but then they're also just like freaking queens and badasses. I love it.